Long ago, Fatima and her father lived at the edge of the orchard. Fatima's mother had died when she was young, and for many years Fatima and her father lived alone. Every so often their nearest neighbour would visit and help to take care of Fatima, and in time the neighbour and Fatima's father decided to marry. The neighbour had always been kind and considerate to Fatima, but once she became her stepmother, she changed. The stepmother made Fatima do all the chores in the house and was always rude and cruel to her. So it stayed for many years, and as Fatima grew into a young woman, the stepmother became more and more jealous of her. One day, she decided to get rid of Fatima forever. "I'm making a special meal tonight, Fatima. Could you go to the forest and fetch a sieve from the witch who lives there?" Now Fatima was scared to visit the witch, but she was even more scared of her stepmother. So off she went into the woods. On her way, she met some farmers who were picking roses, and she stopped to help them. The farmers were so pleased that she'd helped that one of them gave her a rose and said, "May Allah make your cheeks as red as this rose." Fatima travelled on some more and met a horse who was giving birth. Fatima helped the horse deliver her foal. "Thank you," said the horse. "May Allah make your hair as long as my mane." At last, Fatima reached the witch's house and knocked at the door. The door flew open with a bang, and the witch stood in front of Fatima, smiling. "What can I do for you, my dear?" asked the witch. "My stepmother has sent me to borrow a sieve," said Fatima. "Oh, come in," said the witch. "You're most welcome here, and may make a mess of my house, break my door, and kick my cow if you like." Grinning, the witch shuffled out of the cottage. Now Fatima was a smart girl, so she did the exact opposite of everything the witch had just said. She cleaned the house, oiled the rusty door, and fed the cow. When the witch returned, she said, "Well, why don't you smash all my windows and kill my chickens as well?" Laughing, the witch hobbled out of the house. So this time, Fatima washed the windows and fed the chickens. When the witch came back, she was holding a sieve. She was happy with all the work Fatima had done for her. "Well, well, well," she said, and then she pushed Fatima down a well. "You get what you deserve, Fatima, because you've done so well." Fatima climbed back out of the witch's well, only now she was wearing a silk gown and a golden ring. The witch gave Fatima the sieve and sent her on her way, thanking her again for all her help. Fatima hurried home to her stepmother, but she was in such a rush that somewhere on the way home she dropped her golden ring. Some weeks later, the king was out hunting and found the ring. He decided he was going to marry whoever the ring belonged to. The king and his mother searched all over the land, and wherever they went, he would ask the woman of the house to try on the ring. But it would never fit. Eventually, there was only one house left to try, and so the king and his mother arrived at Fatima's house at the edge of the orchard. As soon as Fatima's stepmother opened the door, she snatched the ring from the king's mother and tried to squeeze it onto her finger. But it did not fit. The king's mother asked Fatima to try it on, and sure enough, it fit perfectly. So Fatima left the cottage to move to the palace and marry the king. Well, as you can imagine, this made Fatima's stepmother even more jealous and even more angry, so she decided to cause more trouble. She asked to meet Fatima at the public baths. When Fatima came to see her, the stepmother offered to brush Fatima's hair. Fatima agreed, reminded of how nice her stepmother had been long ago. As the stepmother brushed Fatima's hair, she stuck a pin into her head. "Ah, ouch," said Fatima. "What was that?" "Oh, "It must be this old brush," said the stepmother. She kept brushing, and every so often she would stick another pin into Fatima's head. The stepmother knew a little magic too, you see, and all the time she was brushing Fatima's hair, she was casting a spell. Finally, she stuck the last pin in, and Fatima was turned into a bird. The king came to the baths looking for Fatima, and the stepmother laughed and pointed over to the fountain where the bird was now sitting. "There's your wife," she said. The king walked slowly and carefully over to Fatima, careful not to startle her. He took the bird into his arms and gently pulled out each of the pins, and Fatima appeared once again. The king shouted for his guards to arrest the stepmother, and she was thrown in jail. She was never able to hurt Fatima again, and Fatima and the king lived a long and happy life in the palace.
عُمل مشروع مشاركة القصص Sharing Stories بالتعاون مع المهاجرين الجدد إلى اسكتلندا في مقاطعة إنفركلايد لاستكشاف ومشاركة قصص شعبية تقليدية من سوريا والسودان واسكتلندا. ويدير المشروع الصندوق الاستئماني لتنمية المجتمع المحلي في إنفركلايد Inverclyde Community Development Trust، ويموله الصندوق الوطني لتراث اليانصيب National Lottery Heritage Fund. ويمكنكم أيضاً الاستماع لإصدارات مروية لهذه القصص باللغتين العربية والكردية على هذه القناة.